Welcome to Paradox Rising Radio Podcast, where the world of dreamscapes and nightmares become your reality.
Welcome to this week's episode of The Fountain Part 2 on Paradox Rising Radio Podcast, where last week our characters Sawyer and Max found their way to St. Augustine, Florida, in search of their first big discovery upon the archway of Avil Street. Sawyer begins inspecting the archway where the points of light meet on the underside of the arch. Seeing a single stone being absorbed by the light and glowing back at him, Sawyer sees what looks like a pattern of stars of a constellation.
Max, it's here. We've found it. The tools. Do you have them?
I see it. It's beautiful.
Under the cover of darkness, Max and Sawyer, determined, chisel away furiously into the night around the surrounding stone, stopping at nothing until the full formation of this special stone falls down and into their hands at long last. Looking upon it closely, a single square-shaped stone on one side, with an underside of what looks like the cracked fragments of some form of mural, begin to spark their imagination. Amazement and fulfillment grip them both as the page's truth is starting to open itself to them as more than mere myth. Making their way swiftly out of town with their new piece of this puzzle in hand, the two find transportation to the nearest inn to settle in for the night, with a feeling that a great discovery soon awaits them. The next morning, once again, Max and Sawyer look to the page and the latest cipher that's been unlocked to plan their next move.
The House of the Lady in the Lake. So what I remember of this is that in ancient folklore, this was actually a castle belonging to a sorceress of the woods called Vivian, or otherwise known as the Lady in the Lake, who seduced and destroyed the most powerful sorcerer of all, Merlin. All of this supposed folklore takes place in what is now known as the Enchanted Brocéliande Forest in eastern France near the Bay of Biscay.
I remember the tales, but what does that have to do with our new key?
I think this castle and its secrets will hold our clue. Passage upon the next freighter to Europe boards directly out of Florida this time of year. Continuing to make haste with our new clues, possibly under the cover of darkness, to avoid the possibility of running into your wonderful friends again, would probably be best.
Agreed. If I know these bosses, they could be closer than we think again.
Making their way from nearby St. Augustine to the steamship port in Jacksonville, watching the ocean coastline pass by from their taxi, Max and Sawyer once again let themselves imagine what secrets could lie ahead and the meaning of their new clue. As the coastline passes by, so does the time, and the two find themselves arriving at the port and the ticket agency. With their carry-on bags in hand, Max and Sawyer make their way and swiftly secure steerage tickets aboard the passenger steamship Argonne for the transatlantic route straight to France and their castle. Knowing how close they could be, Sawyer's vigilance holds strong as he becomes increasingly protective of the page and their new key upon boarding the passenger ship.
During our journey, we must keep our key close at hand, if not directly on our person at all times.
I'm way ahead of you, old friend. I'll sleep with one eye open.
Opening the top of his satchel and pulling it apart, Max subtly presents his newly acquired bladed hardware obtained at the port.
That's a rough touch, Max, but for once, I'd say your not-so-subtle instincts are spot on.
Well, it's settled then, and so shall we be safe and steadfast on our way.
Hear, hear, to our safe passage.
Settling in, the two say goodbye to the Americas and listen as the roar of the steam engine pushes them further and further towards the horizon of ocean and amber. A journey of 5.5 days puts the men directly at the gates of the castle. The castle opening up through the mists rolling off the surrounding lake and out of the forest, like ghosts protecting what was once theirs. Standing there, taking it all in, Max and Sawyer look high upon this monument of stone and wonder before making their way through its gates and into the grand hall.
Welcome, gentlemen. Welcome to Compare Castle. My name is Felipe. Will you allow me to show you inside?
Hello, Philip. Is there a prayer altar or a place of Holy Communion that I may see?
Getting right to it, I see, Professor.
In the cipher, it spoke of an opening, but only to those who pray. Praying or on one's knees. We need to look for a possible soft spot, Max, or loose stone around an altar, or place of kneeling for prayer.
I'm on it. Just keep the guide distracted, Professor. I'll start searching.
Moving his way through the castle, Max searches for what Sawyer was describing, looking for anything resembling a room or an altar of prayer. A winding stone-filled staircase with works of art of the famed Knights of the Round Table and carvings resembling coats of arms leads to an open room with a cross centered and carved out on the front wall. An altar, just as Sawyer was suspecting, sitting below a cross, stands alone, basking in the light of this cross. Inspecting in and around the altar, Max cannot seem to find any alterations or dissimilarities in all his searching. Frustrated, Max turns around and just sits down on the front step leading to the altar.
What the?
Not knowing how he missed this walking into the room, Max now sees the outline of a circular mural lining the floor leading up to the altar. Needing a higher view, Max runs and climbs atop the altar, opening his vision and his understanding.
It's here! It's here!
There before him lies a dusty floor, covered in the mural of the Virgin kneeling in prayer. Jumping down, Max begins circling around each stone of the mural, looking for his eureka until finally he sees it. A single stone, without color or meaning, disconnecting it from the rest of the mural. Energy surging, Max yells out,
Sawyer! Sawyer, it's here!
Hello again, Mr. Max.
Walking into the room, with two of his muscle on either side of him, the mob boss Dutch Torio holds a gun to the backs of both Sawyer and the castle guide, as Max tries to think his way out of this, as he had done so many times before.
Did you think I wouldn't find out, Max? Stealing my property and trying to claim its wonders and treasure for yourself. Did you really believe I wouldn't find you in my map again, and dragging the good professor into your mess, and sentencing your friend to his demise alongside you? Tisk, tisk. You really are one of a kind, Max. You seem to forget who I am and what I do. And now, gentlemen, you're going to decipher the rest of my page for me and show me where my treasure is. I think we can manage that now, can't we? Well now, daylight is fading, gentlemen, and my treasure awaits. Shall we begin?
We have what you need, but we still have one cipher left, and only one man can break it and get us all to the end. We need to follow the pattern the page sets out, one cipher at a time in order, or it will surely lead us off course.
Always were the negotiator, weren't we, Max? Well, we both know there's nowhere else for you to run this time.
Could we please lower our weapons, gentlemen? As you said, we're not going anywhere.
Dutch nods at his men to lower their weapons. Walking upon the mural, Sawyer and Max find their way to Max's discovery of the unmarked stone and begin to look around the room for tools to remove it.
Well, what are you both doing? Let's get on with it.
Do you want your treasure, Mr. Torio? Then let us work and have your goons find us some tools to remove this stone.
Dutch gestures to his men to search the castle quickly. Max and Sawyer look at each other, trying to figure out their next move.
Here we are, boss.
Handing their boss both a sledge and a pickaxe, Mr. Torrio walks it over to Max and Sawyer.
What exactly are you doing? What is this?
The last cipher told us of a key, opening a way to the underworld, but only to those that pray. This sanctuary and mural of prayer hold the clue right here in this stone, the only unmarked stone in the entire mural. Do you see? If we remove this stone, as you can see, something must go in its place, an original. The original mural piece.
Max, digging in and around the foundation of the stone, begins to remove the imposter easily, rocking back and forth until it's removed from its temporary shelter for good. Sawyer, raising the mural stone out and above his head, shows Torrio and his men their discovery of the Avil's archstone. Dropping the stone down into place, it fits like a final piece of a puzzle, completing the once lost part of the Virgin's praying hand.
What's that? What the hell is that?
Sawyer, get back!
A low rumble under their feet begins rattling the tiles of the praying Virgin as everyone starts stepping back. Cracks start running through her gown, hands and head as rumbles become violent shaking. Tiles cracking and breaking apart. The floor begins imploding and falling in on itself as the men try to run. Holding onto the altar, Sawyer tries to reach to Max and the guide as he watches Torrio and his men drop through the falling floor.
Come on, Max!
Max and the guide try to hold onto the outskirts of the falling mural, but it continues to crack and fall around them.
I can't hold on to Sawyer. It's breaking!
Sawyer, still holding on, looks on as Max and the guide disappear through the floor. Grabbing onto the altar and pulling himself back up, Sawyer tries to look down through the dust and aftermath. Walking around the destroyed mural and collecting himself, Sawyer hears movement and then voices through the sound of falling debris.
Oh, Mr. Sawyer. Professor, why don't you join us down here? But before you do, we need something to light the way. Do you think you can manage that, Mr. Sawyer?
Yeah, loud and clear there, Mr. Torrio.
Sawyer, finding a lantern, makes his way down through the rubble, coming to a narrow stone hall and walkway lined with torches on both walls.
Glad you could join us, Mr. Sawyer. Now, if you don't mind, can we continue?
Continuing down the hall at gunpoint, one of Torrio's muscle grabs the lantern from Sawyer and begins lighting one of the torches, taking that and lighting each torch as they continue to walk down this corridor. One by one and section by section, strange symbols and configurations begin to emerge on both sides of the corridor walls. The men look upon the walls with apprehension and bewilderment as they continue slowly down the hall.
What is this, Mr. Sawyer?
I don't know. These symbols represent nothing I've ever seen before.
Continuing to walk, Sawyer moves closer to Max, trying to speak very softly.
Max, we're close now. I can feel it. I've already deciphered the last cipher on the page.
Hey, no talking, and get moving.
More and more symbols completely cover the walls as the men push on, giving off a metallic glow from the glare of the torches. Like representing some forgotten language, the walls feel like a gateway of communication to an unseen past. The corridor, beginning to narrow, starts pushing the men together as they all start to notice that some of the symbols are giving off an even stronger glow as they walk by.
What's going on here, Professor? What is this place?
Before Sawyer could answer, symbols showing in different patterns begin to light up and emanate indescribable sounds from them as they approach. The symbols, lighting faster and sounds growing louder, start to invade the deepest recesses of the brain as the strange sounds begin dropping the men to their knees in pain.
Sawyer, run!
Max grabs Sawyer and the guide while he still can. they all start to run forward through whatever this is. Looking back, Max sees Torrio and his men trying to stumble forward as one of his men falls, shaking and bleeding from his ears.
Here, Max, I see something.
Coming upon a narrow doorway,
Go, men!
Sawyer, Max and the guide squeeze through the small opening while Torrio and his man aren't far behind now. Getting through the door, all the men collapse as they try to recover and contemplate the daunting effects of the strange symbols and what just happened.
What the hell was that? One of my men is gone.
Pointing the gun at Sawyer and Max, Torrio, filled with rage at losing his man and the confusion of this place, is getting impatient.
It's time to finish this, Professor. Time to complete this and find a fountain for me now.
Suddenly, the doorway they crossed into from the corridor slams to a close with some kind of automation. Trapping them in, strange lights begin flashing around the room, revealing its circular shape, centered by a tomb and guarded by two knightly statues on either side.
The tomb! It's here! We found it, Max!
Sawyer, I'm sorry about our present company, spoiling this for us, but I couldn't have done this adventure without you. Whatever happens here, Sawyer, I'm grateful to have called you my friend and mentor.
It's not over yet, old friend. Stay alert.
Well, Professor, tell us, what's next?
It's the tomb, the final tomb and cipher on our page. It states that here lies the mythical figure Merlin. Completing the last cipher tells us that under the consecrated ground of the great sorcerer's tomb, an eye opens wielding the swords of two across his coat, starting the new order, becoming born of his womb. I think the fountain is within our grasp and beneath our very feet.
Sawyer, continuing to read the cipher aloud.
Under the consecrated ground, starting anew or becoming immortal. But first, wielding the swords of two. The swords in the guardian statues, of course, to wield them across his coat.
Pushing the top of the tomb, Sawyer tries to dislodge the stone lid but can't budge it. All the men come over to the professor's aid, pushing with everything they have until, slowly, the lid begins to move.
Push! Come on, men! Push!
The lid, cresting over, now starts to roll off the bottom half of the tomb, tumbling onto the ground, breaking into pieces at their feet. Out of breath, standing over the tomb, the men look down, confused by what they see. A skull of a strange and elongated feature beset with eye sockets, enlarged and sunken beyond that of human comprehension. Stepping back, the men don't know what to make of it.
What the hell is that, Professor?
I don't know what that is, but look at the shield across his chest. It has the markings of a coat of arms with that of two indented swords crossing. The swords, gentlemen, can they be broken or taken from their places upon the knights? I believe this is our key.
The men begin trying to find a way to remove the swords, but can only see them as part of a solid statue. Sawyer, walking over with a piece of the tomb lid, starts hitting one of the guardian statue's swords as hard as he can, cracking it. Watching the pieces crumble away, it reveals the shine of metal and a real sword beneath the sandstone exterior. Grabbing pieces of stone themselves, they all start chipping away at the statues until, at last, both the swords are within their grasp. Sawyer, taking the swords in his hands, steadies himself and takes a breath. Looking up at Max, as if to gesture to him to be ready, Sawyer places the swords within their indented places upon the shield. As the room goes quiet, nothing happens, and everyone begins to look at each other with anticipation and uncertainty.
Professor?
Before Boss Torrio can even say the professor's name, the room is filled with what sounds like metal gears moving as the floor begins to open up in the shape of some kind of eye. Again, everybody looks at each other in amazement, not knowing what to think. The sound of gears gets stronger as Torio and everyone make their way to the eye-shaped opening. Looking down, Torio sees a strange platform taking those that choose to board it down as Sawyer holds Max back and tries to let Torio and his goon go first.
Let's go, boys. You wouldn't want me to venture into the dark alone now, would you?
Holding them at gunpoint,
Move it!
Torio pushes Max, Sawyer and the guide onto the strange moving platform, walking onto it behind them.
Now, Mr. Sawyer, what else lies ahead of us? What else does that page tell us?
The last of the ciphers on the page has been revealed. Our journey below speaks of a becoming new in some way. I think our journey is coming to an end, Mr. Torio.
Excellent, Professor.
As soon as they all step on, the platform drops, racing down at an amazing speed as everyone tries to grab onto something.
Whoa! What the?
Hold on, Max.
I'm trying.
Suddenly, as soon as it started, the platform comes to a soft stop. Stepping off the platform, lighting up in front of them and beyond, a huge circular structure made of some dark metal appears with a central hub covered from top to bottom in the same strange symbols they encountered in the corridor.
Sawyer, where the hell are we?
As they walk, more and more of the structure begins to light up and appear to them. Pods. Endless pods containing people covered and suspended in liquid, and tubes fill the structure. Walking through this maze, the men are so taken in at what they're seeing, no one is speaking. Coming upon a section of pods, Sawyer notices clothing behind a glass-like structure, propped up and displayed, almost as if they're being preserved for some reason.
The clothing of the conquistadors. I believe this is Ponce and his men.
What are you talking about? Ponce died in 1521 in Florida from a native skirmish attack.
Looking ahead, Sawyer gestures to Max as they look on in disbelief.
They look like replicas, some kind of strange copies.
I believe this Fountain of Youth was some kind of twisted project designed to make human copies by whatever the hell is in that tomb up there. Merlin, or whatever that thing is, was creating these copies. For what purpose, I don't know. I believe the original Ponce de Leon and his men were copied in some way, died long ago before the documented death, and are all here. Copies sent out back into the world as some form of experiment.
In the cipher it stated, born of his womb. He's creating his children, sending them forth into the world like some sort of god. But to what end? What is this place?
The men standing there in this dreamscape couldn't have fathomed this reality when their search began. Running up behind them, Torio, his man, and the guide panic as their minds can't comprehend what's happening. Torio, frantic and enraged, begins pointing his gun at Sawyer and Max.
What is this? What have you done with my discovery? Where is the fountain?
Walking forward with his gun, Torio raises his arm and points directly at Sawyer and Max.
Max, look out!
Sawyer, grabbing Max, run, and together they jump off the side of a bridged level, dropping 10 feet before slamming down onto the next level platform of this strange place. Firing his gun, a crazed Torio and his goon look down and start to aim. Firing down upon them, Max and Sawyer run and look for cover. Looking up, symbols begin to light up, and the sounds like they encountered in the corridor begin to ring out once again, forcing them all to their knees in pain.
Stop! Get back here. You're both dead. You hear me?
Max and Sawyer taking cover behind one of the pods and see what look like mechanical arms representing giant tentacles extending rapidly from the walls of the structure. the arms grabbing Torio. His man and the guide with violent precision rip the men back into the walls, disappearing as their screams go suddenly silent. Max and Sawyer trying to run through the pain as the screaming sounds and lights of the symbols get faster and louder.
This way, Max!
Remembering his way, Sawyer helps Max back up, trying to make it to the platform and back to Merlin's tomb. Struggling to get to the platform, the men begin to see sections of the walls opening up once again as more tentacles protract out at them, smashing into the pods and surrounding metal, violently trying to grab them as they run.
Come on, Max, almost there.
Jumping back onto the platform, propelling them up. They're back in the room again, quickly as every symbol and light is accelerating faster and faster. The whole room shakes as they make their way back to the corridor, holding their ears in pain. The walls cracking and crumbling around them, running as fast as they can. The two make it back up to the whole of the castle floor from whence they came.
Go, Max!
The men, holding each other up, keep running until they get outside as the ground of the whole forest shakes. Getting outside and collapsing on the bridge of the castle, it sounds like an explosion in the distance of the forest as dust and trees fly violently through the air. Looking up, they see it, the structure they had just been a part of, rising up above the trees. A circular structured shape, the size of a stadium, hovers and holds in the air above them. The men standing there look up in awe as the object moves directly above them, moving quietly higher and higher until it becomes but a dot in the clear blue sky and finally disappears from sight. The men, in disbelief, being beaten, tired and bruised, take a breath and are just happy to be safe and alive.
Maybe it's time to hang it up, old friend. We're not getting any younger.
You may be onto something there, Max. Our fountain of youth is gone and not coming back.
Thank you for joining Paradox Rising Radio Podcast. Please join us next week for another story to help keep you company in the dark.